March 15, 2003. London pub, 9:47 p.m. Former royal chef Darren McGrady sat across from investigative journalist Sarah Bradford, his hands trembling slightly as he prepared to reveal secrets that had haunted him for 6 years. For over a decade, Darren had prepared meals for the royal family, witnessing their most private moments from the unique vantage point of the palace kitchens. He had seen Diana's tears, Charles's anger, the Queen's cold calculations, and Camilla's manipulations. But most shocking of all, he had overheard conversations that revealed the true depth of the royal family's hatred for Diana and their systematic campaign to destroy her. "Sarah," Darren said quietly, "what I'm about to tell you will change everything you think you know about how Diana was treated behind palace walls. The kitchens see everything, hear everything, and what we heard was absolutely horrifying." But Darren's most devastating revelation wasn't about what he witnessed, it was about what he was ordered to do to Diana's food, the kitchen witness. 1988-1997, a decade behind palace walls. Darren McGrady had been head chef at Buckingham Palace, and later Kensington Palace for over 10 years, a position that gave him unprecedented access to royal family dynamics. Unlike other staff who maintained formal distance, kitchen staff were often invisible to the royals, allowing them to witness unguarded moments. "People think the kitchen is just about food," Darren told Sarah Bradford, "but it's actually the heart of palace intelligence. Every conversation happens around food. During meal planning, formal dinners, intimate family gatherings, we heard everything." What Darren heard during his decade of service was a systematic campaign of psychological warfare against Princess Diana that went far beyond anything the public ever suspected. "The first thing you need to understand," Darren continued, "is that Queen Elizabeth despised Diana from the moment she married Charles. Not disliked, despised, with a hatred that was visceral and personal. But Darren's most shocking revelation was how that hatred manifested in Diana's daily life. The Queen's kitchen orders. 1990, the food manipulation. Darren's first disturbing memory involved specific instructions he received from the Queen's private secretary about Diana's meals. "In 1990, I was called to a meeting with Sir Robert Fellows, the Queen's private secretary. He told me that Her Majesty was concerned about Princess Diana's eating habits and wanted me to help monitor her consumption." "What kind of monitoring?" Sarah asked. At first it seemed reasonable. Track what Diana was eating, when she was eating, whether she was maintaining proper nutrition. But then the instructions became strange. Darren pulled out a notebook he had kept throughout his royal service. "Look at this directive from October 1990. Princess Diana's portions should be reduced by 15% without her knowledge. Use smaller plates to create the illusion of normal serving sizes." They were deliberately reducing Diana's food intake. That was just the beginning. By 1991, I was receiving weekly instructions about Diana's meals. Reduce protein content, increase carbohydrates to promote fatigue, limit iron-rich foods to encourage weakness, avoid mood-stabilizing nutrients. Sarah was horrified. They were using food to undermine Diana's physical and mental health. The Queen's instructions were very specific. Princess Diana should be kept in a state of physical weakness and emotional vulnerability. Nutrition modification is to be subtle but consistent. Don't miss this shocking escalation. What Darren was ordered to put in Diana's food, the medication conspiracy. 1992-1993. Drugging Diana's meals. Darren's most devastating revelation concerned a systematic campaign to medicate Diana through her food without her knowledge. In early 1992, I was approached by a man who identified himself as the Queen's personal physician. He gave me a small vial of clear liquid and very specific instructions. "What kind of liquid?" He said it was a mood stabilizer that would help Diana with her emotional difficulties. I was to add 3 drops to her morning tea every day. Darren showed Sarah the original vial, which he had kept as evidence. I asked what it was exactly, and he said it was a mild sedative that would calm Diana's hysteria and make her more manageable. "Did you follow these instructions?" "At first, yes. I was told it was for Diana's own good, that she was having severe mental health episodes, and this would help her. But after a few weeks, I noticed Diana becoming increasingly lethargic and confused. The medication campaign escalated throughout 1992 and 1993, with Darren receiving increasingly potent substances to add to Diana's food. By 1993, I was being given different compounds weekly. Some were supposed to increase Diana's emotional instability. Others were meant to affect her memory and concentration. What was the purpose? The goal was to make Diana appear mentally unfit for royal duties and ultimately unfit for custody of William and Harry. You won't believe what Darren overheard about Camilla's role in this conspiracy. the Camilla coordination. One of Darren's most shocking discoveries was that Camilla Parker Bowles was actively involved in planning Diana's food manipulation. I was preparing dinner for a private meeting between Charles and Camilla at Highgrove when I overheard them discussing the medication program. Charles: how is Diana responding to the treatments? Camilla: Darren reports she's becoming more confused and emotional. Perfect for our timeline. Charles: what about the next phase? Camilla: I've spoken with the Queen's physician. We're moving to compounds that will affect her public appearances. By Christmas, Diana should be visibly unstable during royal engagements. They were planning to make Diana appear mentally ill in public. Camilla had a detailed schedule. Diana was to appear increasingly unfit during the autumn of 1993, leading to a Christmas crisis that would justify removing her from royal duties entirely. Darren also revealed that Camilla was receiving regular reports about Diana's condition. Every week I was required to submit reports about Diana's eating patterns, energy levels, and apparent mood to Camilla's private secretary. She was monitoring Diana's deterioration like a medical experiment. But the most chilling revelation was Camilla's personal involvement in selecting the compounds used to drug Diana. Camilla would sometimes visit the kitchen personally to discuss Diana's dietary needs. She knew exactly which substances were being used and their intended effects. Don't miss this heartbreaking detail. How Diana began to suspect what was happening. Diana's growing suspicion. 1994. The princess fights back. By 1994, Diana had begun to suspect that her increasing health problems weren't natural. Diana started asking me direct questions about her food preparation, Darren recalled. She said she felt constantly tired and confused, and she suspected someone was drugging her. Diana's suspicions led her to take unprecedented precautions with her meals. She began bringing her own food to palace functions, or eating only at restaurants where she personally knew the chef. She stopped eating anything prepared in palace kitchens. Diana also began testing her food for foreign substances. She had samples of her meals analyzed by a private laboratory. When the tests came back positive for multiple pharmaceutical compounds, she confronted me directly. What did she say? She asked me, Darren, has someone been putting drugs in my food? I couldn't lie to her anymore. I told her everything. Diana's reaction was a mixture of rage and vindication. She said, I knew it. I knew they were trying to make me appear crazy, but now I have proof. Diana used this information to protect herself and plan her counterattack against the royal family. She began documenting everything, her symptoms, the timing of her health problems, the correlation with palace meals. She was building a case. You won't believe what Darren witnessed during Charles and Diana's private arguments, the kitchen confessions. 1994, Darren's position in the palace kitchens made him an unwitting witness to some of the most explosive arguments between Charles and Diana. The kitchen at Kensington Palace was directly below their private sitting room. The ventilation system carried sound perfectly. We heard everything. One argument from September 1994 was particularly revealing. Diana, I know you've been drugging my food, Charles. I have laboratory evidence. Charles, Diana, you're being paranoid again. Perhaps you should speak to someone about these conspiracy theories. Diana, don't gaslight me. I have proof that someone has been putting psychiatric medications in my meals for over 2 years. Charles, even if that were true, it was for your own good. You've been having severe mental health episodes. Diana, mental health episodes caused by the drugs you were giving me. You created the problems you were claiming to treat. The argument revealed that Charles was fully aware of the medication program and had approved it as part of a larger strategy to discredit Diana. Another argument from December 1994 was even more damaging. Diana, I know Camilla has been coordinating my poisoning. I know she's been receiving reports about my condition. Charles, Camilla was trying to help you. We all were. Diana, help me. You were trying to make me appear mentally ill so you could take my children away. Charles, the children need stability, Diana. You've been unstable for years. Diana, I've been drugged for years. There's a difference. The Queen's direct involvement. 1995. Elizabeth's personal orders. Darren's most shocking revelation concerned Queen Elizabeth's direct and personal involvement in the campaign against Diana. In March 1995, the Queen herself came to the kitchen to give me instructions about Diana's food, not through her secretary, personally. What did she say? She said, Chef, Princess Diana has become a threat to the stability of the monarchy. I need you to understand that everything you're doing is in service of protecting the crown. The Queen's instructions were chillingly specific. She told me, Diana's public appearances must show clear signs of mental instability. The compounds you're using are not strong enough. We need visible effects. What kind of visible effects? Hand tremors, confusion during speeches, apparent memory problems, emotional outbursts. The Queen wanted Diana to appear obviously unfit for public duties. The The Queen also revealed the ultimate goal of the medication campaign. She said, "By Christmas, we need Diana to have a public breakdown that justifies removing her from royal duties permanently. The children will be raised entirely by the royal family." Darren was horrified by the Queen's cold calculation. She spoke about Diana like she was discussing a pest control problem. No emotion, no humanity, just cold strategy about how to destroy another human being. Don't miss this devastating revelation, how Diana turned the tables on her tormentors. Diana's counterattack. 1995. The Princess's Revenge. Armed with knowledge of the medication conspiracy, Diana launched her own covert operation against the royal family. Diana began working with me to reverse the situation. Instead of being the victim of food manipulation, she became the orchestrator. Diana's plan was brilliant in its simplicity. She would use the same kitchen network that had been used against her to gather intelligence on her enemies. She asked me to monitor conversations between Charles and Camilla, between the Queen and her advisors, between family members discussing her situation. Diana also used the kitchen staff to plant false information that would expose the royal family's true intentions. We would deliberately let Charles and Camilla overhear conversations about Diana's deteriorating condition or her plans for revenge. Then Diana would watch how they responded to test their involvement in the conspiracy against her. Most cleverly, Diana began documenting everything she discovered through the kitchen intelligence network. She was building a comprehensive file of evidence about the royal family's campaign against her. Names, dates, specific instructions, recorded conversations, everything. Diana's counterattack culminated in her famous Panorama interview, where she used information gathered through the kitchen network to prepare her most devastating revelations about the royal family, the truth revealed. 1997. Darren's final service. Darren's last memory of Diana came just weeks before her death in Paris. She called me personally to thank me for helping her discover the truth about the medication campaign. She said, "Darren, you helped me understand that I wasn't going crazy. They were making me crazy." Diana also revealed her future plans. She told me she was going to expose everything after her divorce was finalized. The medication conspiracy, the royal family's cruelty, the systematic campaign to destroy her. She had enough evidence to bring down the entire institution? More than enough. Names, documents, recordings, medical evidence, everything needed to prove that the royal family had systematically poisoned and psychologically tortured her for years. Diana's death in Paris prevented her from ever revealing this evidence publicly. After Diana died, I was contacted by palace security and told that any discussion of Diana's dietary concerns would result in immediate legal action. Darren kept his silence for 6 years, but Diana's death haunted him. I knew that Diana had died with evidence that could have exposed the truth about what they did to her. I couldn't live with that silence anymore. The aftermath. 2003. Breaking the silence. Darren's decision to reveal the truth about Diana's treatment came after years of guilt about his role in the conspiracy. I participated in poisoning an innocent woman because I was told it was for her own good. I helped destroy Diana's health and sanity because I believed I was following orders. But when I learned that Diana had died with evidence that could have exposed this conspiracy, I realized I had to speak out. Darren's revelations about the royal family's food manipulation of Diana provide a new understanding of her health problems and erratic behavior during the 1990s. Everything Diana was criticized for, her emotional instability, her confusion, her apparent paranoia, was caused by the systematic poisoning ordered by the Queen and coordinated by Camilla. The cover-up continues. 2003 present. Burying the truth. When Darren's revelations were first published, the royal family launched an immediate damage control operation. Palace sources dismissed Darren's claims as fabricated nonsense and attention-seeking lies from a disgruntled former employee. Legal threats were made against any media outlet that reported Darren's allegations in detail. Most effectively, the palace used its media connections to bury the story entirely. Within weeks of my interview being published, it had disappeared from major news outlets. The story was suppressed almost immediately. Darren himself faced personal consequences for speaking out. I received threats, my employment prospects were destroyed, and I was forced to leave the country for my own safety. But Darren's evidence remains, hidden but not destroyed, waiting for the day when the full truth about Diana's treatment can be revealed. The truth that remains hidden. Darren McGrady's revelations about the royal family's systematic poisoning of Princess Diana represent one of the most shocking conspiracies in modern royal history. His detailed accounts of Queen Elizabeth's personal involvement, Camilla's coordination, and Charles's approval provide evidence of a comprehensive campaign to destroy Diana's physical and mental health. The food manipulation explains many of Diana's health problems and behavioral changes during the 1990s that were attributed to mental illness or emotional instability. Most importantly, Darren's story reveals that Diana's death prevented the exposure of evidence that could have destroyed the British monarchy entirely. The royal family's successful suppression of Darren's revelations shows their continued power to control narratives and hide truth, even when that truth involves systematic abuse of a beloved public figure. Some secrets are too dangerous to remain hidden forever. Some truths are too important to stay buried. Darren McGrady's kitchen confessions provide a window into the darkest chapter of royal history, the deliberate destruction of Princess Diana through systematic poisoning ordered by the highest levels of the monarchy. The question remains, how many other secrets are hidden in the palace kitchens, waiting for someone brave enough to speak the truth?